the Nina II, an exact replica of Columbus's famous ship. She has recently sailed 5,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean. One of these three men was the only American aboard. What is your name, please?
My name is Robert Marx.
My name is Robert Marx.
My name is Robert Marx.
Only one of these men is the real Robert Marx. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Dina Merrill, Barry Nelson, and Kitty Carlisle on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collyer.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Brought to you this week by new self-polishing Aerowax with jet-age plastic for the tough, long-lasting shine that never yellows floors. New Aerowax. Dina, nice to have you back with us again.
Thank you, Bud. I'm so glad to be back
Where
again.
have you been?
Oh, all over the place.
Well, stick around a little more so we can
Yes, I'll try.
catch up with you a little bit. Panel, good evening to you all.
Good evening, Bud.
Everybody feeling well and happy and ready to play this game tonight? All right, open your affidavit, your envelope affidavit, if you will, please, and take out those cards for the first time and follow along as I read. I, Robert Marx, participated in one of the most unusual crossings of the Atlantic Ocean ever attempted. I am the navigator of the ship Nina II, an exact replica of the smallest of Christopher Columbus's three vessels. We tried to duplicate the conditions of the original voyage in 1492. The Nina II was built from the original specifications. We had no electricity aboard. Navigation was done by 15th century instruments and a copy of a naval chart actually used by the great explorer. Our crew ate the same kind of food as Columbus's men. Due to severe storms, we were almost a month overdue. On November 25th, the headline in the New York Times declared us lost at sea. While Columbus's ships took 36 days for the passage from the Canary Islands to the New World, we completed the voyage in 77 days. Signed, Robert Marx. And here we have three gentlemen panel, all of them claiming to be the same one, namely Robert Marx, navigator of the Nina II. And we'll start this questioning with the star of the Broadway hit Mary Mary, Tom Poston. Tom?
Thank you. Did that give you a turn, Barry? Number three, what does plimsoll mean?
Sorry, I don't know.
Plimsoll. Do you know number two?
No, I don't.
Number one, just by chance?
Nope.
Well, that's it. What is number three? What are sheets? How's that to a Navy man? Or a
Well, I guess you would
seafaring?
call them lines. The ropes on the the ropes on the ships are usually called sheets.
Thank you. Number two, where does a belaying pin fit? Besides in the villain's conch. But I mean...
Well, on ships of the era that we're talking about, the belaying pin was stationed right on the railing along the point where the shrouds were attached to the side of the ship.
Thank you.
Dina?
Number one, did you grow that beard on the voyage?
Yes.
I see. Took all that time?
Yes.
Number two, what is a halyard?
A halyard is a line that is used to hoist a sail.
Thank you. Number three, what rig was the Nina?
Well, we had a square sail on the foremast and a mizzen sail on the mizzenmast.
Barry?
Number three, what were the names of the other two ships? Columbus.
The Pinta and the Santa Maria.
There are some ships at Jamestown now. Do you know what, there are three ships in dock. Do you know why they're preserved in Jamestown?
I'm not familiar with
All
them.
right. Number two, what is the difference between a knot and a mile?
They are both measures, well, no, a mile is a measure of distance, and a knot is the speed at which you go on the ocean in 1 nautical mile.
Thank you. Number one, what is the difference between, why did it take you longer
Oh, we had very bad storms and bad luck.
What was the velocity of the greatest storm?
Oh, about 70 knots.
Kitty.
It doesn't say here where you landed, number 3. Would you be kind enough to tell us where you landed?
San Salvador.
San Salvador. Now, was there something that happened before you arrived at San Salvador that made people think that you were lost? Can you tell me what that was?
Well, it was reported in the New York Times that we were lost. We weren't really. We just hadn't reached our destination.
And number 2, how long did it take you after you were reported lost to arrive in San Salvador?
20 days.
Number 1, what is the shape of a mizzen?
A Latin shape.
Latin shape.
Yes.
Number 2, what is a ship's knees?
The ship's knees are beams that extend from the ribs inboard.
Number 3, what is a ship's knees?
What is a ship's knees or what are a ship's
What is
knees? In any event,
ship's
we
knees?
have no time to find out one way or the other. We have to mark our ballots. It's time for voting now, so no further questions. And, of course, no consultation. As you vote now for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive the usual $250 for every incorrect vote. All ballots marked?
Nope.
All knees bruised?
Yes.
Okay, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 1, Bud, out of pure meanness. I don't know what Latin shaped is, but he said it. And why would he lie?
Dina, how did you mark your ballot?
I voted for number 2, but he answered these sailing questions extremely well. I don't know whether he's the right one or not, but he seemed to know his sailing.
Barry.
I voted for number 1, Bud. I thought the other 2 spent a lot of time indoors, judging from their complexion.
And Kitty.
Well, I voted for number 1. Number 3 has a better beard, and number 1's beard isn't as luxuriant, but number 1 has a kind of thing here. It looks as though he's been outdoors more, and I think he's the right one.
So there we have it. And 3 for 1, 1 for 2, and none for 3. Let's get to the moment now of truth as we learn which one of these gentlemen actually was the navigator of the Nina II. So will the real Robert Marx please stand up?
You see, you are smart, Kitty.
Just a little too smart, I'm afraid the panel was. Number 2, what is your real name, sir? What do you really do?
My real name is Fred Keck, and I'm assistant to the vice president of Eastern Airlines.
And number 3, your real name, sir, and what do you
My
do?
real name is John Turnbull. I'm a high school teacher in the Bronx, New York.
Incidentally, Robert Marx has written a fascinating article about his voyage for the Saturday Evening Post, which you'll all be very interested in reading, I'm sure. I know I will. Very well, in checking the score, we find there have been X number of, just one little X there, meaning an incorrect vote, and that's the only one at $250, I'm sorry to say. But when you get up against a bright panel, it's kind of hard to get away from them, I'm afraid. But if you had fun, that'll more than make up for it. You received that, of course, from Aerowax, as well as a gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax, and our sincere thanks for spending the time with us, and hope you got as much fun out of it as we did. Good night, and God bless you. Now, panel, may I present our next team of challengers?
What is your name, please?
My name is Norma Lyons. My name is Norma Lyons.
My name is Norma Lyons.
Very well, panel, they all claim to be lion. Will you take out your next affidavit and follow along with me as I read from mine? I, Norma Lyon, am a farmer's wife. I am also an official, state-approved cow judge and a sculptor. I combine my art and my knowledge of bovines by sculpting statues of cows out of butter. These butter cows are a traditional part of our state fairs and farm shows. To keep the butter from melting while I work, I do all my sculpting inside a large ice box. The average butter cow takes 3 days to complete. Most of them are full, life-sized, and contain some 360 pounds of butter. Signed, Norma Lyon. Well, panel, 3 ladies, all claiming, as we said, to be Norma Lyon, cow judge, and butter sculptor. Let's start this cross-examination with Dina Merrill. Dina?
Mrs. Lyon, number 3. How many quarts of milk does it take to make a pound of butter?
Number 3, you said, did you?
I'm sorry, yes.
You meant me.
Yes,
Repeat the question.
how many quarts of milk does it take to make a pound of butter?
You don't make butter from milk. It has to be cream. And you can make, you can use 2 quarts of milk approximately and get a pound of butter.
2 quarts of milk?
Yes.
2 quarts of what
For
she
a
calls
pound-
cream, she said.
Yes.
Cream. Number 2, can you tell me about, what are you say you're a cow judge. What are the different points that you look for when you're judging a cow?
Well, it depends on whether you're judging a milk cow or beef cattle. But generally, you look for the breed characteristics, the dairy characteristics, the top line.
And Barry Nelson.
Barry? I'm here. Tell me, number 2, what do they mean by the score of butter?
The score of butter is a government set up in order to test butter for its color, quality, purity, butter fat count, this type of thing.
Number 3, why do you use butter to do this sculpting? Why didn't you use a more normal kind of like silly putty or
Well,
something?
in the first place, it was novelty.
Mm-hmm.
And in learning how to do other things, it occurred to me that it would be quite a novel thing to use butter because dairy companies sponsor things like
How do you keep warm from freezing in that box?
Well,
Number 1, thank you, Don. Number 1, what do you wear when you do the sculpting?
White coveralls.
Is that enough?
No, sweater.
Number 2, how do you keep the sculpture together once you're out of the icebox?
Once you're out of the icebox, it's built over an armature, and by the time, and it's in a refrigerated box.
Thank you. Number 3, what is an armature?
that's the framework that any artist builds to build a...
Thank you. Number 1, can you tell me something special about the eyes of a Jersey cow?
They're very large and brown.
Tom?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, do cows have frogs?
No.
Number 2, what is a frog, if you're a farmer's wife? Maybe you could tell us.
I don't know
What animals do have frogs besides frogs and things?
Only those that sing.
Well, we'll get off of that. Number 2, did you ever sculpt a cow out of the other spread?
Never.
Never? Well, I mean, number 3, would anyone know?
Afraid that they might, yes, they might. All right, there it is. We've come down to the wire again, and it's time for you now to mark your ballot. So kindly do so, panel, at once, without consultation. And, of course, vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked? All right, Tom, for whom?
Well, I voted for number 1. I just loved her answer to Kitty's question about the Jersey cow's eyes. I thought, I never heard of I mean, I know there is such a thing, but I don't know how you would describe, how would you go about judging a meat cow? Number 2 said something about a meat cow, a milk cow and a meat cow. I don't... Seems
Dina.
strange to me. And two quarts of cream to get a pound of butter? Mm-mm.
Dina?
Well, maybe Tom knows more about that than I do. 2 quarts of cream. It sounded right to me. I voted for number 3.
Barry, what
Pretty
about
good
your
to me,
choice?
too. Number 1, I think, is the unorthodox one and uses, I'll say it, margarine. There you are. Number 2 has a very creamy complexion and seems to know the score of butter. And number 3 is my bread and butter answer.
Kitty.
I voted for number 1. I think that's true about the Jersey cows, and they also have very long eyelashes. So I voted for number 1.
Very well, there we have it. With our good, sound reasons for the reasons we voted the way we did, let's find out who's right and who's wrong right now in learning the identity of the real one who is the cow judge and butter sculptor. So will the real Norma Lyons please stand up? Oh, good. Thank you very much. All right, let's find out about the other two. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Ann Pardue, and I'm an assistant to the table setting editor of Family Circle magazine.
And number 3, you had a half of the votes. What is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Esteline Pike, and I'm a professional sword swallower.
Oh, boy.
Guts, I tell you.
Checking the score. Whoa, man. Checking the score, we find 2 and 2. 2 incorrect are the ones you're most interested in, ladies, and that's 2 incorrect at $250 for a total of $500 for you ladies to divide. Not bad for an evening's fun, and I hope you had that. That comes to you, of course, from Aerowax, as well as a gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax, and our thanks to you for being with us. Good night, and God bless you. Panel, may I present our third team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Ahrpahd Zazurko.
My name is Ahrpahd Zazurko.
My name is Ahrpahd Zazurko.
Follow along once again with your copy of this affidavit, if you will, panelists. I, Ahrpahd Zazurko, am a violinist and a full-blooded gypsy of the Lavutara clan. My 1,500 relatives in this country are all musicians. I am one of the few, however, who has had formal musical training. I am a conservatory graduate. I have performed on the concert stage and have played with 2 major symphony orchestras. Currently, I am working in a restaurant as a strolling gypsy player. One day, in a music store, I tried out a second-hand violin. I liked the tone, and I bought it. After playing it for several years, I sent the violin to a famous expert for appraisal. He authenticated the instrument as one of the 2 violins you see here as a rare and unusual Stradivarius, more than 200 years old. Signed, Ahrpahd Zazurko. These 3 gentlemen all claim to be Ahrpahd Zazurko, gypsy violinist. And we'll start with our own gypsy gal, Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Number 3, what is a sourdine?
Sourdine is a mute.
Number 2, what is rom in gypsy language?
The man.
And number 1, what is the name of a lady in gypsy language?
Ramana.
Number 3, who was Amato? Amato.
Amato.
Yes.
Amato, I will know.
Who was Amato, number 2?
You mean a man?
Well, that'll do. Number 1, how many woods are used in an old violin?
2.
Tom.
Gee, they are really too smart for words. Number 2, what's the difference between gitana and Sigourney in terms of gypsies?
Would you please repeat?
Oh, never mind. I can't get through that. Tell me where gypsies originate. Where does your clan originate, number 2?
We originally believe, as all gypsies, that we actually originate from India as the entire race of gypsies.
Thank you. Number 3, do you happen to know the famous story about gypsies in Spain, why they are settled there and stayed there to live? Do you know?
Well, it's just settled down there.
Settled there. Number 1, there's a... Thank you.
Dina.
Number 3, how do they identify a Stradivarius? It's a rather complicated question.
It's very difficult for just anybody to identify a Stradivarius. A professional musician would take it to a violin maker such as Wurlitzer or Frank Passa, or in San Francisco, in Los Angeles. There's only about 4 good authorities on violins.
Number 2, how many Stradivariuses are there left in the world? Do you happen to know?
One believes that there are approximately 400 all over the world.
Barry.
Number 2, what is a Guarnerius?
Guarneri is a violin.
Number 3, what does the name Lavatura translate to?
Lavatura. That means that they're a clan of musician gypsies.
Number 2, Mendelssohn wrote a very famous violin piece. Do you know the name of that?
He wrote one concerto that I remember. Offhand, I wouldn't know the name now.
And that's all the time we have, I'm sorry to say. So put down your bows and pick up your strings, and let's go with marking a few ballots, may we? Mark those ballots at once, without change, and of course without any consultation whatsoever, as you vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3.
Oh, wait a minute.
Ballots marked?
No.
No?
No, I ain't yet.
Well, mark them up. And we start with you, Tom. For whom did you vote?
Well, I voted for number 1. First of all, I didn't get a chance to ask him anything. And I had little reservations about the way the other 2 fellers answered. I don't know whether I would have had the same reservations if I'd gotten a chance to ask number 1, but I
Dina.
It was a puzzle. I voted for number 3, but I didn't get a chance to question number 1 very much either. Number 2 has blue eyes, and I don't think of gypsies with blue eyes somehow.
Barry.
Yes.
Yes, it was a puzzle, Bud, and I'm sorry, because I hope to hit dizzy heights tonight. But number 1, I thought, he seemed the one to me.
Kitty.
I voted for number 3 for 3 reasons. First place, his violin looked the oldest. Number 1's violin looked as though the varnish were very fresh. Number 3 did not know who Armature was. He was as famous a violin maker as Stradivarius. But he said Wurlitzer for authentication, and I think that's true. So I voted for number 3.
Very well, there we have it with the votes in and the minds made up. Let's see which one is the real person and the actual gypsy violinist. Gentlemen, will you all please stand up, every one of you?
What?
Now, will the real Ahrpahd Zazurko please play a Stradivarius?
It was the oldest. Oh, dear.
Please.
I may never have a time.
Oh, Mr. Zazurko, that was just a little appetizer. Suppose you come out and really give us the main course, will you? The Golden Gate Bridge in Sausalito, California. Let's find out about the other 2 now. Number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Joseph Kranus, and I am a graduate student in history at Fordham University.
And number 2, your real name, sir, and what do you really do?
My name is Count Eugene Esterhazy, and I'm sales manager of the Hotel Victoria in New York City.
Well, we thank you, gentlemen. And checking the score, we find there were 2 incorrect votes at $250 each. That's $500 for you to divide. And we thank you very much for being with us. This, of course, comes to you from Aerowax, as well as a gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax. Good night, our thanks, and God bless you.
Good night.
What? Bud Collier saying good night to you for Aerowax and reminding you to tell the truth. Bye.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Fritz and Bill Kaufman production. Tell the Truth has been brought to you by Sleepy's, the non-narcotic sleeping tablet for a good night's sleep. Sleepy's. Johnny Olson speaking. This program was